Colonialism is the act of a foreign power settlers controlling a nation and its citizens on a political and economic level. Most of the time, the colonizing nations want to make money by taking advantage of the economic and human resources of the nations they have colonized. There is a lot of history of colonialism that happened. Among them is around 1550 BCE, ancient Greece, Rome, Egypt, and Phoenicia started extending their dominance over neighboring and non-contiguous regions, which is when the practice of colonialism began. Colonialism can be categorized into one of 5 overlapping varieties based on the specific objective of the practice. These include internal, plantation, surrogate, settler, and exploitation colonialism. In 2009, the island's 1976 constitution was suspended by the British government due to allegations of extensive corruption inside the territory. The elected premier of the territory was replaced by a governor nominated by the British after the territorial government was dissolved. So now, we are going to discuss 4 causes of colonialism.
The first point is causes of economics. Plenty of academic research has been done on colonial growth during the last 200 years. Certain scholars have put out views regarding colonial causes that are still highly regarded. According to J.A. Hobson's theory, is a well-known explanation for colonial expansion during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It's called surplus capital theory. Here are some additional points to consider. Based on criticism of Hobson's theory, he highlights the economic motivations. It doesn't fully explain colonialism. Other factors like nationalism, competition for resources, and the search for new markets also played a role. Based on there are few alternative theories, which is mercantilism. This early theory focused on accumulating wealth through trade and establishing colonies as sources of raw materials and market for finished goods. Remember, colonialism was a complex phenomenon with multiple driving forces. On the other hand, slave labor dominated Caribbean plantation due to high demand and low cost. Vast numbers were transported, like 200,000 to Barbados. This reliance on African slaves left farm colonies vulnerable. For instance, certain raw materials were scarce in Europe, prompting the significant expansion of Western empires, driven by the allure of spices, sugars, textiles, rubber, opium, metals like tin, gold, and silver. Colonies served as crucial sources for these resources and markets for finished goods.
The connection between colonialism and culture is a topic of direct discussion among academics. Furthermore, Said's theory regarding the connection between the causes of colonialism and the expansion of dominant cultures has received support from a few Marxist academics. For example, these orthodox Marxists believe that colonialism was the most powerful force for cultural transformation and that it dominated the course of cultural colonization. One of the main causes of cultural colonization is this cultural westernization. A pivotal period in the global westernization process was the colonial era. Cultural colonialism can be characterized as the deliberate emergence of a culture abroad shaped by the understanding of its dominating characteristics and offensive reach.
Political also causes of colonialism. An additional form of political power during colonial rule overseas was the political informal empire. Robinson and Gallagher claimed that the growth of the informal empire was a unique aspect of Britain's foreign policy after 1815, given their connection to the country's need for fresh markets and raw supplies to fuel in industrialization. For example, informal empire, a system of influence exerted by a powerful nation over a weaker one. Without a formal colonization. Control is achieved through economic dominance, military pressure, or political manipulation. Colonies also observed a rise in national popularity. The stronger colony overthrew the weakest one government. For instance, the power of European nations oversaw the management of the Turkish zone of states. It is evident that the colonial expansion that followed 1870, known as New Colonialism, competed with nationalism in several ways. So, as I put is Turkish example, the situation in the Ottoman Empire, which is often referred to the Turkish zone in the past, is a good illustration of these competing forces. European powers joked for influence and control over Ottoman territories, weakening the empire.
The other major factors in colonial expansion that were represented by the social Darwinist thesis were race and nationality. European powers like Germany, France, Italy, and Great Britain expanded their influence globally throughout the 19th and 20th centuries by using their superior military might to be subjugated nations. The history of the revolution brought about by colonialism is extensive, spanning several centuries and continents. Driven by aspirations for rich, resource, and power, it started with the emergence of European empires. It was not always an easy procedure. Empire collapse frequently resulted in bloodshed, unrest, and enduring ethnic hostilities. Nonetheless, the great majority of colonies had gained independence by the late 20th century. The globe is still being shaped by the effects of the revolution as former colonies struggle to establish new states and carve out unique positions for themselves within the international system.
As a final observation, colonialism wasn't driven by a single motive, but rather a complex interplay of factors. Here's a summary of the main causes. First and foremost is economics. To conclude, colonies provided a wealth of resources from gold and spices to raw materials that fueled the Industrial Revolution. On the other hand, political and national is not just about diplomatic things, but colonies could provide a strategic advantage, offering military bases and resources to project power globally. They could also be seen to control trade routes and maintain political stability within the colonizing nation. Furthermore, cultural. Colonialism wasn't just about grabbing resources or land. Culture played a significant role too. Colonizers often believed their culture was superior and actively sought to replace or assimilate the cultural practices of the colonized people. This cultural dominance, often termed cultural imperialism, was a tool to maintain control. Last but not least, racial. While racism and racial ideology play a role in justifying and reinforcing colonialism, it's not the whole story. Some argue colonialism helped create the modern concept of race to categorize and subjugate conquered peoples.